First Amendment.
What's up, guys? Who we got in here? Jake, what's up? Kenji, 5-star, what's up? Dwight, Crystal, what's going on? All right, first segment, we roll with some Coach Oates audio, so we got to hear from him post-game. Iron Bowl of men's basketball. I'm not going to say we got that out the way, but we got our basketball talk in, and now we're getting ready to talk a little bit of football here. So all y'all's questions, man, make sure you guys are dropping. I know you got plenty of them, man. Football kicked off yesterday, practice kicked off, so there should be plenty of questions from you guys. So I'm excited to talk about it and discuss it today on the show, man. Should be a fun one. Should be a good one.
Roll Tide, the best sports talk, period. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And welcome into this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Just heard from head coach Nate Oates on the basketball side of things. First segment, man, had to show some love to the basketball squad. Big win over Auburn in the Iron Bowl of men's basketball. And that concludes the regular season for Alabama as they get ready and gear up for the SEC men's basketball tournament. They are a number 2 seed, but always good to finish the season the right way, man. 96-84 victory over the Tigers at home, and should be an exciting SEC tournament coming up. And we'll discuss that more in depth. We'll talk about that as it's going on. I'll definitely get some basketball guests on here. My dad's a big basketball guy. He definitely likes talking about it. We'll talk about it for sure. But today's show, man, it's going to be dominated by football. Why that is? I mean, well, we all know why. Yesterday kicked off the spring practice period for Alabama. They got to work on a Sunday. My dad was a little bit like, "Hey, man, what are y'all doing on a Sunday?" But hey, listen, man, I think it was later on in the day, so they gave them plenty of time to attend church, right? Whether they want to attend my dad's church online, 1334. If you guys are looking for a service, man, he brings it. You guys can check that out, 1334 Church over in Powdersville, back in South Carolina. That said, though, man, we've got plenty of practice clips we'll be talking about, discussing some photos that we're going to break down. I didn't attend practice. I know a lot of you are probably going to ask that or been asking. I didn't attend, and I'm waiting until they probably get some pads on and whatnot. So we're just going to go off of what we've all seen, and that's the practice footage that they sent out yesterday. We've been posting plenty of clips. About a little over 4 minutes, man, you get to see the guys in action. Now, I want to preface by saying this, Chase. These are all individual period drills. So this is like almost like, I wouldn't call it pre-practice, but this is like the very beginning of practice. Guys just kind of going through, not the motion, but just going through reps, right? So there's not a whole bunch you can really take away from stuff. We'll talk about some of the things that we can take away from these videos, but I always urge people, don't put too much into what you see, just because it's, again, there's a reason they release this portion of practice. It's the very early, it's just individual period. But nonetheless, always exciting just to get some clips and some content from the practice fields, because that means football is back. So really cool stuff. We got to see Coach Adrian Clem in action with his offensive line group, new tight ends coach. We got to see Derek Nix working with the wide receivers. Some young guys popped up, Chase, in some of these photos, man. Some really impressive statures when you get to see these guys. Jaire Edwards, one of those, man. There's a photo of him, and man, you talk about being a true freshman, 6'2". I think he got listed at like 220, 221, something like that. I mean, this dude just looks like a freak of an athlete. I'm really excited about him and getting to watch him and see how he ends up playing and what his role will be here in this defense. But some other stuff we'll definitely talk about too, some updated weights on the roster. I know that's been a lot of talk. I mentioned some of that in our tweets over the weekend. I've been very active on Twitter this weekend, man. Number one, I was going to bat for Coach Saban. People coming at my guy, man. People going at Coach Saban. Why that is, I don't know. Probably just jealous, probably hating just because he is Coach Saban. He won a bunch of national championships. He was the head coach at the University of Alabama. I don't know. But it seems like every time, Chase, this guy tries to go and do something for the betterment of college athletics, he always faces backlash, which I know for a fact he could not care less. But two, he's still going to do the right thing regardless of what any people say online. And you know what's crazy, Chase? It either comes from a place of envy because they watched Alabama have such dominance over the years. They can't get over the fact that we were able to have success as a program without, they just throw out all these accusations or things like, oh, they've been cheating. They're mad now because now the playing field is even, all these things. I'm like, guys, if you think for a second, a 73, was he 73, 74 now, your old retired head football coach who won 7 national championships as a head football coach, arguably the greatest college football of all time. If you think he's just sitting here with this master plan, rubbing his hands together on how to figure out how no coaches can catch him and how he just doesn't want people to have success like he did. If you think that's why he goes and speaks to Congress and tries to, course correct college athletics, I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's just not the case, man. I mean, he has much better things to do. He's already accomplished everything that he set out to accomplish. At this point, I mean, it genuinely is to help college athletics. I don't know why people can't see that. And if they took the emotions out of it, Chase, or if they just did simple research, I think it would be clear as day. If you look at what he's talking about, not even proposing, but just recommending, right? It's not like he's saying, oh, this needs to happen. He's just offering his advice. He's offering what he thinks could help, things that he's been saying for years. And 9 times out of 10, it always ends up being right. And people just can't face the fact that that's simply what it is. He's just laying the not rules, but he's just laying the facts out there and recommending what he thinks could be helpful. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show after we talk a little bit about spring practice, because I definitely want to just put a bow on that. And I know if you follow us on X, and if you haven't, check us out at the Miller's Edge. We'll be a lot more active on there with the spring going on, doing breakdowns, answering all your questions. A lot of people have football questions. I love it. I love discussing it, and I'm happy to answer those. But we'll definitely dive into that conversation a little bit later, because I spent the whole weekend, Chase, trying to, and it's just so crazy because people have, like, there's a 3+ minute long clip of him speaking. And if you knew nothing about Coach Saban, if you take everything out of it and you just listen to the clip, like listen to what he's saying, it makes perfect sense. And you would understand the issues he's trying to address and how he's trying to address them. But it's clear when people tweet things that either A, they don't have the attention span or intelligence to listen to something and actually grasp the information that's being said, or B, they're just choosing what they want to hear or what they're perceiving that he's saying before he actually even speaks. Probably a little bit of both here, if we're just being completely honest here. But anyway, we'll save that for a little bit later. In regards to spring practice and some of our observations, well, it looks like we're already about due for a break, but right off the bat, Chase, got to see the Wolves in action, which we had a great question from Cleo. She's asking about the Wolf position. What exactly is the Wolf position? And we'll do a breakdown. I think somebody also recommended kind of us talk about some of the positions and kind of go over, what they are, what their roles are, maybe some expectations for guys, common characteristics, stuff like that. So maybe we'll spend some time doing that as well. But for the Wolves, for anybody curious, because these names in this defense are pretty interesting. There's a lot of animal names, right? The Wolf is what we used to call the Jack under Coach Saban, which is just a linebacker defensive end hybrid. Basically, can be in a 2-point stance, sometimes in a 3-point stance, playing on the edge. But then there's some situations or packages where they are asked to be more of a true outside linebacker, whether that's a 9 technique on a tight end, sometimes walking, playing in space out in the apex. In this defense, you see them actually even hover, inside the box about 2-3 yards depth. So basically just imagine an edge player that also has linebacker responsibilities, but also can serve a role like a defensive end. So we got to see those guys in action. And why was that cool? Well, number one, that's basically my position or what I would have played if I was here in this defense. And two, there's been a lot of question marks regarding the outside backers. And speaking of outside backers, big shout out to Yanze Pierre. He joined the show Friday ahead of spring ball. If you guys missed that interview, you can always go back and listen to it on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast, whatever platform. It was about 30, 40 minutes into the show. So just fast forward a little bit to get to the interview. But really good stuff from him, previewing spring and kind of just going over his decision to come back. That said, we got to see him in action. We got to see Justin Hill. I'll pull up the clips here in a minute. We'll watch it together. During the timeouts, we'll do a little bit more of a breakdown. That way our radio listeners aren't, missing out because we're watching something on the screen, which you always can join us on the streams at the Miller's Edge on YouTube, X at the Miller's Edge, and also on the Tide 100.9 Facebook page. But we got to see Des Zulu, transfer from South Carolina. He was getting some reps there, but also Kavonte Henry, right? Who both of those guys were maybe looked at more as bandits, and I still think they are, and I'll explain why. And we'll kind of talk about some of these other observations that we got, and we'll pull up the clips. So if you guys want to watch the clips and react to them, come check us out on the stream, any platform that you prefer, and we'll do that. Plus, we'll do it for our radio listeners. We'll break it down give all our thoughts and observations from day one of spring practice, which is in the books. It happened yesterday. They got an off day to watch the tape, probably work out a little bit. Then tomorrow, I think they are back on the practice field, and we'll definitely continue talking about it. But the good news is, Chase, football is back, man. We got plenty more to talk about. I'm excited to dive into it. We'll do plenty of it here on the show, so make sure you guys are buckled up and ready for that. And without further ado, let's hit a timeout. That way we can come back and really talk about it right here on the other side of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Two of the 80s biggest acts.
All right, let's there we go. We got the practice highlights. All right, what's up, guys? Who we got? Cutie, what's up? Ricky, what's up? Where you been at, Ricky? Let me guess, you're gonna make an excuse. Said you've been filming in the desert or something. Oh, I haven't been able to join. I've been filming. I've been holding my camera. Nah, I'm just messing with you, man. Good to hear from you, man. Agent, what's up? Travelpreneur, what's up? Crystal, what's going on? Welcome back in. Good time to pop back in, man. We got plenty to talk about. Plenty to talk about. Let me pull up so we got the practice highlights. I'll pull up these weights, like the updated weights too. I know a lot of people are talking about that stuff too. If you got any questions, guys, drop them in the chat. Love to answer them. Would love to answer them. Got my new flask ready too. That way I don't have to worry about clearing my throat a million times. I got a big old flask, man. Plenty of water on deck, so we should be good to go. And I don't know if Joey's in here. He was talking about the lights. I told you guys I ordered the lights, man. We're revamping the setup. Tell me what you guys think about that, man. We got the blue for the Panthers and we got the red for Alabama, obviously, but kind of illuminating the helmets in the back, man. What do you guys think of the setup? Latoya, what's up? Roll Tide. Welcome back in. Carlos, what's up? Agent says, I took what Coach Saban said. Whoops. I don't know what that was. I took what Coach Saban said. The way he was intending it to be understood, it seems some try to take things out of context and run away with it. Yeah, I mean, it's either they're trying to take it out of context and run away with it, or they just genuinely just don't just listen to the video. I mean, if you just listen to the whole it's 3 minutes, man. Just listen to the whole 3-minute clip. Don't go into it with, oh man, I'm telling you what happened. They saw Coach Saban. They saw him at Capitol Hill. They saw him next to Donald Trump and various other, athletic faces, right? Whether it's commissioners, athletic directors, former coaches. They see this big committee. They see this big panel over at the White House or wherever, Capitol Hill, discussing it. And then they see Coach Saban of all people, and they just immediately, oh, he was paying players. He's mad. And they just start saying all this without even just listening to what he's saying. Like, it's staggering the amount of responses that I had on my tweet that basically broke down what he said, trying to help people out, saying things like, as if he doesn't want players to be compensated. And I'm like, a quick Google search of what revenue sharing is. I mean, that literally is paying players. Revenue sharing, I repeat, is paying players. It's paying players through revenue sharing. The revenue generated by these schools, whether it's media deals, ticket sales, whatever, all the revenue that they collect, they're then sharing it with the players, just like the NFL. They revenue share with their players, right? That's where salary caps and things come from. But anyway, not once did he say players shouldn't be paid. The whole issue he's discussing here is literally just the collectives using themselves, the collectives, or schools using, I should say, the collectives to pay players on top of what the proposed cap would be with revenue sharing, which that creates disparity because not all collectives are created equal. It's just that simple. That would be like if the NFL had their salary cap, but on top of it, they were able to get by with some type of NIL stuff, like saying, hey, we're going to pay this guy extra for his name, image, and likeness. But realistically, they're just paying lump sums of money that aren't really pertaining to true NIL. The value does not match the criteria or what is being asked of said players. And that's where disparity comes in. That's just what they're trying to control. They still are going to pay players. It's going to be through revenue sharing, which also in turn helps the fans because there's not so much demand for fans donating money because why? The players are being paid from these said universities via revenue. I mean, it's really not that hard. I don't understand why people just can't understand that. I really don't. You like the setup, Ebony? Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, here we go. We're back. And welcome back into this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. All right, so let's finally break this down. Let's talk a little bit about what we observed with some of these clips that have come out from the university. Again, shout out to University of Alabama, UA Athletics, for all the clips that we do use here on the show. They are all from them. We don't own these clips. They're all courtesy of UA Athletics. So big thanks to them sending these out to media to be able to be used. That said, as we take a look at this on the stream, we break some of these things down. We'll start with the Wolf position because I know a lot of people were talking about that, a lot of question marks kind of about the guys in the group. Why were certain guys in that group that they weren't really expecting to be in that group and so forth. So these are my observations, and just based off of what I know, this is what I would tell you. So the group was led by Yonze Pierre. No surprise there. We talked to him. He's going to be a leader this upcoming year, returning sack leader for this program. He looked really good. He's actually added on some weight as well. I think he's in the 250s now. I think it'll be really good. He talked about, my dad asked him what was one thing that he wanted to improve on this upcoming season. He said, still working towards setting that firm edge, which I would argue last year he actually did a nice job setting the edge. A lot of people were, not necessarily concerned, but that was one of the question marks about him. Could he be, physical as an edge setter? And I would say, I think he, probably impressed a lot of people, at least myself. I thought he held up really well, but he wants to improve at it. I love it, right? That's critical. So him adding a few pounds, I think is good. I think it'll help him be more solid on that edge, and he looked really good going through drills. I'll be honest though, I think and again, just like I prefaced earlier, you can't lean too much into this. Is just individual period, just doing some little indie drills. However, if we're going to really dive into things, I will say this, man. Justin Hill, just watching his movements through the drills, what they're working right here on this sled drill pretty much is they're basically striking and just basically striking, locking out and shedding it, right? Real quick action though. But just like the speed at which Justin Hill is going through these drills, man, like just the explosiveness with his hands, the strike, he's impressive. We all know, like when you watch the tape, you go back and watch him last year as a true freshman, he was already impressive, but just even to seeing him kind of go through these drills, man, I'm really excited about him. He just has a different gear to him. He's powerful, he's quick, snappy, violently sheds the sled here, which is really good stuff. Third in line, you see Des Zulu transfer from South Carolina. Now, I know some people were pointing this out, and it's a great observation. Well, some guys are operating out of a 2-point, other guys are operating out of what looks like is more of a 4-point stance. 4-point is when you have both hands on the ground and obviously both feet are in the dirt. 3-point is one hand in the ground, 4-point, two hands in the ground. 2-point is basically just standing up. So it looked like the guys that were operating off the ground were in 4-point stances. I don't know if they're coaching them to come out of a 4-point stance or that's just kind of their preference. I'm not 100% sure, but regardless, the guys that were operating out of what looked like a 4-point stance, in my opinion, those guys are going to be working at Bandit. And so I know people had questions because they're like, well, they're working with Christian Robinson, they're working with the Wolves. Does that mean they're going to be working at Wolf? This is what I will say. So last season, Coach Jamie Mosley, my guy, my best friend, he was assistant defensive line coach, but he also was tasked at working with the Bandits, right? So especially with like individual period, he always would break off and work with the Bandits. Well, we all know he has since been hired by Stanford University. He's their new defensive line coach. Really excited for him over there. I know he's really fired up about that opportunity. That said, he always worked the Bandits last year. So in my opinion, this kind of signals that maybe they're going to try to work these guys a little bit more together now. I don't know if they have somebody taking over, kind of doing what he had been doing, where he was kind of overseeing most of the Bandits. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I didn't go to practice necessarily yesterday, so I don't know for a fact. But I would, if I had to guess, they're probably just lumping them in together here. Now that Jamie's gone, they might not have somebody working with those guys directly like that. Because, defensive line last year, the way it consisted of Bandits, through D tackles, nose, ends, everybody, like the whole defensive line. Then you had the Wolves. They're separate. And technically on third down, yes, Bandits and Wolves, they start to kind of assimilate a little bit, right, as this edge guys. But in terms of like base downs, there's a pretty big difference. Bandits are kind of like, a little bit more on the defensive line side, where Wolves are a little bit, they can drop a little bit more. If you're talking about from a base perspective, I know I compared this might get confusing, the Wolf to a Jack, but it's a Wolf. The Wolf is a Jack when we play nickel, but in base, if they were to operate out of a true 3-4 personnel, a Wolf would be more like the Sam, which is going to drop a little bit more. You're going to play more in space. Bandit would be more like the Bandit would be more like the Jack in our base personnel, if that makes sense. That said, so to answer people's questions, so when you see Cavante Henry and even Zulu and Jamari Matthews, 3 guys that I think are going to operate more like Bandits, I think they just had everything together. The second part of that is I would also not be shocked given the personnel, because I have questions kind of about the personnel, because to be honest with you, right now, I would argue you got Jamarian, you got Latham coming back. That could be a true Bandit. Outside of him, and then Cavante Henry, those are like the only true Bandits, which Latham even moved to Wolf last year, but I don't think there's a problem moving him back, as he also has gained weight. He's in that 270 range. Henry is also in that 270 range now. Zulu's around 250 or so, but even just watching him here, like watch them do these drills, and I talked about it, him at the point of attack, similar to all these names are starting to throw me off. Tompkins, I think they need to improve in that area. Even just watching him do the drill, he's so lanky. His base probably needs to, improve a little bit. That said, Bandit could be interesting if they're asking him to slide down in the 4-eye. Now, here's the next step of that. And I might be losing some people because I know I'm getting real technical, but bear with me. I'll try to circle back and summarize it. When a lot of people make it seem like it's as simple as, oh, well, he can play Bandit in this situation, but we don't want him to get down and have to bump in a 4-eye. The problem is, it sounds easy to do that, but you can't just do that, because that means you're basically either A, limiting what you're calling in terms of the fronts defensively, or B, you're strictly going to end up having to kind of alter your scheme. This is why I say that. If you're in a regular 4-down front, right, your Bandit more than likely is going to operate. There's a good chance he is in that true 5 technique, which all these guys can play. But to keep them out of a 4-eye, that would mean you're not going to call tight fronts, which tight fronts are a very common thing, especially when you're operating out of 3-man fronts, which we see a lot of the time, especially in college football. What is a tight front? It is a 4-eye, a 0, and a 4-eye. So if you have that personnel on the field, if you call a tight front, whoever's that Bandit has to play a 4-eye. So could you technically say, hey, we got this guy out there, we don't want him in a 4-eye, we won't call a tight front? Sure, but you're limiting yourself. You're kind of putting your hands behind your back. That might not make sense for a bunch of people. Maybe I'll try to draw it up to make it a little bit clearer. But anyway, that said, I think what you're seeing out of this clip is Bandits and Wolves working together. But I also think there could be a world where maybe they are kind of altering the scheme a little bit, where I wouldn't say they're interchangeable, but maybe they're not so different like they used to be now that the personnel is a little bit different this year. Think about it this way, then we'll go to break and we'll come back and we'll talk some more about some other positions. Last year, you had basically a whole bunch of Bandits that were exactly what you were looking for at that position. Keon Keeley, LT Overton, Jordan Renaud, the guy that transferred from Florida, Kelby Collins. I mean, think about it. They all had very similar body types. Every single guy was like 270 plus. 6'3" and up, to 6'5", 270, 280. That's like the body type that I guess that they, at least at that point in time, they wanted to play Bandit. Why? Because it made sense. They're athletic enough to play 5 technique and play on the edge, but they also were big enough to hold up at the point of attack if they had to bump down to a 4-eye, which is an inside shade on a tackle, right? Where sometimes you might have to take on combos from a guard. You got to be a bigger guy to do that. Like me playing at 235, I should not be in a 4-eye. You get what I'm saying? Like I would be a Wolf for that exact reason. That said, this year's group, you got 2 guys in that 270 range, and Cavante Henry and Latham, but then like Zulu's in that 250 range. He's kind of a tweener. Like he's more on the Wolf side, the Wolf side of things in terms of his size, and even the way he plays, but I just feel like I don't know how comfortable he would be in space like you have to be a Wolf. He's kind of a tweener, in my opinion. I know there was questions about um, uh, Tompkins, right? When he first signed from Southern Cal, the reason I broke him down in his tape as a 3 technique was number one, that's he was playing, in the interior at Southern Cal. And when I spoke to the staff, everything was that, yeah, they saw him as a 3 technique. Problem was, in my head, I was like, man, I don't know. I just don't. He don't look very comfortable there. So even though the staff told me he was an interior guy, and then that combined with people online telling me, oh, he's playing out of position. I'm like, well, maybe there is a world where if he does lose some weight, I've always said I thought he was way too big to play bandit. But say he got here at 288 or whatever he was, and then he dropped like 280 something. Like, yeah, he could play some bandit. The problem is he did the opposite. He added 8 pounds, and now he's like 298. So it lines up with what the staff was saying, that he's an interior guy in their eyes. That said, the bandit position is a little interesting to me, kind of just seeing the people we have there. But I think we'll be just fine. I think they might kind of shift some things around a little bit and maybe just play to their personnel. Wouldn't be shocked if we see that as well. But that said, I don't want to go down this whole Wolf Bandit thing too long. We got to hit a timeout. We come back. We keep on rolling. We got plenty of other things to discuss. We'll talk about it. Plus, we'll answer y'all's questions. I know you got a lot of them. 205-342-9904 is the number, by the way, if you guys want to jump in on the conversation. We're talking spring football day 1 in the books, officially underway here in Tuscaloosa, man. We're fired up. We're talking about it. We're discussing it. And we're going to do a little bit more on the other side of this break right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
The Tuscaloosa Thread News Update is brought to you.
If I lost some of you guys with that whole talk about the Wolves and Bandits, let me know, and I promise I'll simplify it some more. Sometimes I just get caught just talking with that terminology that I might lose a couple folks, but if I did, don't worry, just tell me, and I promise I have no problem kind of summarizing it the best that I can. Jeremy says, first time watching, subscribed in the first minute. Great content. Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. Welcome in. Welcome to the team, man. We appreciate you being here. Yeah, we're live Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 Central Time, same time. We are a radio show first and foremost, pretty much. So if you're wondering why we have like a intro segment where we might not be talking about exactly what's on the title of the YouTube video, or that's why. I mean, so it's going to flow like a radio show, but I do my best to during breaks and every opportunity that I get. And sometimes we stay after, really breaking some stuff down and doing as much as I can on the stream side of things. But we are like live on radio. I always give people that heads up because sometimes they see our YouTube videos and they think we're just like some podcasts. And I'm like, unfortunately, we're not. So I can't just sit here and just do everything podcast style. I have to go to the flow of a radio show, which is cool though, because we spread across multiple platforms. Mario, what's up? What's going on? Yeah, I got some LED like stand-up lights that I got, but I set them up so they're kind of like illuminating the like the bookshelf with the helmets on. I thought it looked cool, man. Got Panthers and Alabama colors going. We're just trying to make the vibe even better, man. I told you guys, man. Everything we get on here, any super chats, any whatever, man, it goes right back into the show. So the goal is to keep making it better and better, man. We're trying to put out the best content possible for you guys, man. Yeah, I'm looking at the stream now over on X, man. Yeah, the lights look good, man. Joey, do you think I need to add another light on the other side, on this side? That's the only thing I'm wondering. Thank you, Agent. I appreciate it, man. I've been working hard, man. Listen, everything I've done by myself too, like the new overlay on the stream, like the setup, like I'm working, guys. I'm working. But yeah, Joey, let me know if you think I need another light on this side. I know they said like some color in the background, so I got that, but I don't know if I need to do something on that side. Big Ten wins 3 national championships. Third, with SEC could be back on top. Yeah, to balance it out, I was thinking that too. Maybe even just like a spotlight or something. I'll definitely look into that. I don't know, man. I think the SEC is due for something, man. When you got light up those jerseys. Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe just like a bright like white LED kind of deal, or like maybe like a soft yellow. Yeah, I'll look into that, guys. Good idea. But yeah, I think SEC's do, man. We got plenty of good teams. I mean, I think top to bottom, there's no denying the SEC is. I mean, SEC is still. I would not go as far as saying the Big Ten has surpassed the SEC. Some people might think that just because they won last 3 national championships, but I think when you look top to bottom, I mean, the SEC without a doubt is on par or still ahead of the Big Ten, in my opinion. And I think if you look at the top 25 teams from last year, I think they would agree. And welcome back into this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We got Smitty on the phone lines. We're gonna go to Smitty. We're gonna go to the phone lines to start the second hour. I promise you that. That way you got plenty of time. But we're going to break down a little bit more from some of these clips that we got coming out of practice from yesterday. Man, I will say, looks like, in my opinion, now there was no audio on the video from practice, so I want to be clear. You can't hear anything, but just my observation, but it looked like, Coach Clem and Coach Owens, new tight ends coach, man, like my whole thing was when we hired those guys, both of them being former players, they both played in the NFL. They both, are former guys themselves. I just felt that they were going to bring a little bit of an edge that we needed to those positions. And we talk about, the lack of that intensity, lack of fire at times, the lack of that edge just on the field. And through one day, again, I know it's way too early, but hey, this gives us something to talk about, man. Just from the clips themselves, it looks like those coaches were kind of getting after it, and that's just exciting to see. Now, you couldn't hear it, but from what I was looking at, it looked like they're getting after it, and that was nice. I see right now we got the clip of Ryan Coleman Williams. Got to make sure I get used to saying that. Rocking the new number 1 jersey, the leader in that wide receiver room now. He's the vet. Still crazy to think about, knowing he literally just got here a couple short years ago, but he's the guy. Ryan Coleman Williams rocking number 1. A couple other guys that stood out. I mean, just seeing like Cedarian Morgan, man. This is one note that I had, Chase, because I was trying to look for some of the young guys. I mean, even guys like Crowell. The freshmen that we brought in this class, man, that's some grown men. I mean, you see Crowell right there. I mean, they're working a drill, the backs catching the football and going through the gauntlet, and then in the pads. But man, I mean, to see him, I think his weight went up to like 221 or something like that. I mean, listen, I know there's a lot of questions like, can Crowell be ready to play? I'll say this. I'll have to see him in person and watch him over this spring and definitely over fall camp. But the fact that he's already up to 221 as a true freshman and really should be a senior in high school, it's clear as day. I mean, that dude's body type, I mean, he's going to be, I mean, you see him on tape, he's already explosive. Looks like he has plenty of speed. And now he's got the physical stature that is necessary to hold up in the SEC conference. Man, I'm not going to lie to you, man. Like, the guys they brought in this class, Chase, they remind me of like vintage Alabama recruits, big physical specimens. I mean, Cedarian Morgan, 6'4", 223, like a big body receiver. You talked about Jare Edwards, who was a safety, I must add, but is 6'2", 221, and just seeing the picture of him, man, like, I mean, these dudes look like they are like third-year players just getting on campus, and they still should be in high school as we speak. So, man, I got to tip my hat, man. Again, I haven't seen these guys in live action yet. I'm really excited to see them, at a scrimmage, right, in like that type of setting. But in terms of the eye test, Chase, I mean, these guys pass like every box, and I'm fired up about a number of guys. I mean, even seeing the young linebacker Griffin that we talked with Yanze about on Friday. I mean, he's already up to 222. I mean, I think he's put on like 20 pounds since he's been on campus. A really good sign. And speaking of him now, you didn't see him working with the Wolves during Indy. So the one question that I had is, could he see a similar path, kind of like Rashawn Evans had? Rashawn started at outside backer, then moved to inside. To me, I think it looks like they're probably going to rep him at inside backer, which makes sense. You definitely have a need there. But then I would be a bet man to say he's probably going to see himself in some third down packages, even maybe as soon as this year as a young guy. That's one quick way to get on the field. If you can provide some pressure, get after the quarterback, I could see him working in that role. So just because you didn't see Griffin in the group with the Wolves does not mean he's not going to work in that outside backer on like third down situations. Remember, this is day one of spring, by the way, just so you guys know. You're talking about spider pads, you're talking about install periods, a bunch of individual periods and individual drills. A lot of it is focused on really kind of getting back in football shape and just kind of just getting your feet wet on the field, right? It's not the most in-depth practice. That's why I didn't go yesterday. I mean, a lot of it is I'm just going to wait till they really kind of get into it where you can see a lot more. But that said, really impressed. Even the quarterbacks, man. I don't know if you guys saw the freshman quarterbacks that we brought in. Big guys. This whole true freshman class that we have, I'm telling you, man, the eye test, they pass every bit of it. So trying to think if there's any other observations that I noticed coming away from the video. While I think on that, Chase, you tell me, man. I'm sure you've seen these videos and these clips and photos. Anything that stood out to you before we hit this top of the hour break from practice number 1 yesterday?
I think just more intensity. I think
Mm-hmm.
the one thing you did say, they look big. I like it. I think it's now we always got to pump our brakes because it's spring practice and we have to allow things to uninvolve and everything like that. But I'm liking
Mm-hmm.
what I'm seeing. You know, a lot of the coaches are really into it. You know, thank God the weather's looking nice. Wasn't going to be much of an issue over the weekend, but I like the intensity. You want to start out fresh and fast. You know, you want to put the season behind you because you have expectations with new faces. That means new opportunities, and why not for some new names to really like stand out? So I'm going to be looking closely with some players that are going to really need to step up in some of the positions that we're kind of lacking this year. But I'm excited, especially with 8A coming up in a little bit.
Speaking of that, great segue right there before we hit this top of the hour break. Now, let me clarify on the tweet I put out because I know everybody's fired up hell, including myself, and that's why I was eager to tweet this. Now, I want to be clear. When I put out 8A officially, is returning to its original format, just to clarify, I'm basing it off of what Alabama football posted. I haven't confirmed with anybody for sure. I mean, the goal, I do know the goal is back to a scrimmage type format, right? I don't think they've even finalized every detail. So if things are a little bit different than maybe you anticipate, don't be mad at me because I'm just going off of in this moment in time, and a lot of it also being them posting basically a countdown. And if you look at it, it shows crimson versus white. And I also know that they do anticipate going back to more of a scrimmage format. That said, I know people ask this. I don't know for sure about this. Will it be televised? I don't know the full details there. Will it be more of like the original 8A format, like we used to have it? ESPN televised kickoffs, this and that, and it's like truly keeping a regular score. I'll be honest, guys. When I meant original format, I was meaning more back to like year 1 under Kalen DeBoer, because the way they scrimmage has always been a little bit different the way we did things, right? He's a different coach. He holds his scrimmage is a little bit different. So for the people asking, just so I can clarify a little bit on this, my anticipation, again, don't mark my words, this is my anticipation, is that it'll probably return to being similar to what you saw at a year 1 under Kalen DeBoer, which is that scrimmage format, 2 teams. But remember, their format was just a little bit different than the way we did it. But nonetheless, it still felt more game-like, more scrimmage-like. That is what I anticipate. Don't know the details on it being televised, but I wanted to clarify that because I know people like were fired up, but also was like, damn, let me try to make sure I offer kind of what I'm referring to when I say original format. That way I don't have them set up thinking it's going to be 8A of 5 years ago with that exact format, televised on ESPN, all this stuff. I'm not going as far as saying that. But if for you guys that wanted more of a scrimmage format with like teams, that type of deal, I'm almost certain that you can bank that it will be of that format. Now, I don't know how they'll keep scores. Like, remember, year 1, the way they kept score was a little interesting. It wasn't necessarily like a regular way. I think like defense could earn points. I wouldn't be shocked if it's more along those lines. But still, that's still, team-like, game-like. I think a lot of people will be happy with that. So big news there. People are really fired up for it, including myself, man. Just let you feel like you have a little bit of a game before you really put things away for the summer conditioning portion of the season. And I would just, fortunately, I mean, I'll be at the scrimmages over the spring, but still, I think it's fun for fans to be able to kind of see that thing. Now, televised or not sure. If I find something out, I definitely will keep you guys posted. But we got to hit this top hour break. When we come back, we'll talk with our guy, Smitty. We'll continue breaking down practice number 1, recap all that from yesterday, and more. Plenty to talk about. Coach Saban talking to Congress, trying to help college football. People think he's the devil for whatever reason. We'll explain that whole deal. Plus, like Jake just mentioned in the chat, man, NFL free agency is getting a little wild, Chase. Tua Tagovailoa will be in search of a new home. He will be released by the Miami Dolphins. Minka Fitzpatrick being traded to the Jets. A lot of news with Alabama players and NFL free agency going on. We'll discuss a little bit of that as well right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa.
I was going to say there's so many options he could do to make it look like a real showroom. Yeah, I mean, trust me, at some point I'll do more, but the other thing is I don't want to do too much like now before I change the whole backdrop, because I anticipate him putting more of what do you call it? Basically turn that into like a real accent wall, either painting it or putting up, what are those things called? Like panels, stuff like that. So that's why I've been kind of patient on some of the lighting stuff. But no, trust me, we're gonna get better. Listen, we got the real deal camera set up. Mic is all configured, all good. We got lights, so we're rolling. But at some point, yeah, man, as we keep evolving, we'll definitely keep improving. That's why I need you guys hit that like button, right? Subscribe, all that stuff, man. Because that helps us, man. That helps us improve things, and the better things are here, better, the content is for you guys. So make sure you guys support as much as you can, man. Hell, even just sharing the video, stuff like that, man. I know you guys got a bunch of other folks that like Bama content, football content, all that good stuff. Any reports on Daniel Hill dropping weight? Yeah, they his new weight, man, he dropped down to like 30, was like 36, something like that. Which is, I mean, to me, I think that makes plenty of sense. Listen, he was listed like 244. I want to say last season he was around 244. Now him being closer to like 235. I think it makes plenty of sense. He's never played like a true 245-pound running back. That's no knock on him. That's just not really his style of play. I think people in the comment section have told me that he played quarterback in high school. I'm not saying he's a super elusive guy, but to me, if you're truly playing running back, you don't need to be 245 unless you're Derrick Henry, 6'3", you're a bigger stature. But if you watch Derrick, I mean, Derrick is still fast, explosive. Derrick outruns people all the time. For him, I'll just be honest with you. He wasn't using it the way some guys would use being 245. So at that point, it becomes almost not a waste, but it's just, there's no need. So I think trimming down for him is great. I think it will. Yeah, Duval, I agree. I think it will help lead to a little bit more burst. Now, I wouldn't say you necessarily see something drastic necessarily, but I think there'll probably be some noticeable differences. Will that magically just turn him into, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, like TJ Yeldon was a bigger guy. TJ Yeldon was like 6'2", 225, 230. But TJ was, a little bit different runner than Daniel Hill. I think QD had talked about it last week. I mean, I could see D Hill being similar to a little bit like a B-Rob, right? The way they run, I think could be a little bit more similar. I don't see D Hill being like TJ Yeldon was like, for a big guy, like really, really elusive. Still would lower his shoulder on you, don't get me wrong. But I don't think Daniel Hill is quite that elusive. So, I mean, I can see him being more like a B-Rob, which I think B-Rob was like 225, 230. But I do think that is beneficial for him to drop that weight. I still would love at 235, that's more than big enough to run behind your pads more. I still would challenge him to be more of that guy. But I think 235 is much better. Exactly, that's what I mean. Like TJ was a better runner in terms of his cutting ability, his elusiveness. That's what I mean. I don't see that as much out of Daniel Hill. So I don't like that comparison much. B-Rob could cut too, but B-Rob is a little bit, I wouldn't call him a little bit more of a stiffer runner, but you get what I'm saying. There's a difference between the way B-Rob ran and a guy like TJ Yeldon or even Najee Harris. Both backs were also in that 230 range, but they were a lot more elusive, in my opinion, than a guy like Daniel Hill. So, yeah, I don't think just because he lost weight, he's going to magically become that type of runner, but I think it will help him out a lot. I agree. And welcome back into this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're unpacking a lot right now, Chase. I mean, we got clips from practice, and it's just exciting to have football back, man. Shout out to Bree, man. Bree Leonard, nutritionist. I see her in the background right here of the practice highlights from yesterday, rocking her Fueled by Bama shirt. Don't worry, I'm definitely going to be up there being fueled by Bama very soon, man. Miss some of those meals. All right, let's go to the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We got Smitty on the line. Smitty, welcome in.
How's it going, Christian?
Man, can't complain, brother. Talk to me. What's going on, man?
First things first, going to SmackDown Friday here in Phoenix, and no one ever talks about TV ticket prices. I only paid $100 to sit in section 108, row 11 in a basketball arena. You know, that's pretty low. Just saying. You know, not bad, right? And,
no.
You know, but here's the here's the thing, right? I saw you talking to Sue Cravens. Like my mama always say, never argue with a fool because no one know who the fool is. Here's the thing. We don't have to get money on the table.
Let me say this. Let me say this. I ain't want to seem like I was coming at it. I don't know him personally. I know Ryan Anderson, who also tweeted. Ryan played with him in Washington. Well, I know of Sue Cravens. I mean, I remember he's a good player, especially in college. I know he hung it up a little early. Yeah, he hung it up a little early with concussion stuff. But no, listen, I respect everybody. I had to respond because when people immediately jump to Coach Saban doesn't care about guys. Oh, he doesn't want young men, especially even people throwing this out, young black men to be making this money. Now they're trying to step in and stop it. I'm like, guys, if you just literally listen to what he's saying or just do even 2 minutes of research, hell, just type in Chat GPT. It takes 30 seconds. Nothing was said about taking money away from. I even had, and it's funny, you know, a hit dog will holler. The people that are going to be affected are the ones, a lot of these people getting all this pushback. I've seen parents of recruits respond to me. I've seen NIL lawyers and agents responding to my tweets. I'm like, of course, the people that are worried that their pockets are going to be hit are in this uproar. But I'm like, they fail to realize when he mentions revenue sharing, right now the cap for revenue sharing is $21 million, 21 and a half, something like that. I think it's going up. And through 2030, it's supposed to start approaching closer to $30 million. He's not talking about changing that. So and I understand you got to split it amongst other sports, but here's my thing. You're telling me to split $20 million amongst the roster is not enough to pay college athletes? Like, come on now, man. Like, might there be some cutback because it's starting to bump up to like 30 and 40? Last time I checked, a lot of teams were able to build rosters last year sub $20 million. So why is everybody freaking like that? You get what I'm saying? If you really look at it from that perspective, could some be shaved off? Sure. But is that big of a difference? A $20 million roster versus, $30, $40 million. Yeah, I get it. The price, but like you're talking about kids that are going to school, getting an education. The goal is to go to the NFL. Like, I think the problem is when you open up that door, people get mad if it goes backwards a little bit. But if you ask people before NIL came out that, hey, they're going to give schools $20 million to work with and guys could be making upwards of $7 million, nobody would have had nothing to say. But the problem is they open the floodgates and now they've seen $30, $40 million rosters and it might be shaved back a little bit to make sure you're managing parity. And now people are in an uproar. I mean, just make it make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, Stuart's one of those guys who always go around talking about because, well, the other conference could play players too, but SEC struggling. Look here, everybody was putting something on the table. You think Ohio State was getting all those boys from Florida to come up there to Columbus? Let's be real here. So nobody cares. Hey, nobody snitch. We'll just keep it moving. Nobody says a word. All right, that's how I don't mind that. But here's the thing. The issue isn't the money. See, people just have to go up there and say what it is. Well, Ohio State won their last title just 2 seasons ago, right? 2023, I think that was Coach Saban's. No, it was a year after Coach Saban. It was the board's first year. It was a $20 million payroll, supposedly. It's just 2 years to go into 40. Then you go to 50, 60. There's no rules. There's no cap. And for everybody who's mad at these coaches, ask yourself, you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, how would you feel if Patrick Mahomes went up to the owner every year talking about, hey, I need more money, or I'm going somewhere else? And if the pro leagues can have rules, why can't college? And see, the thing, Christian, no one talks about the long game here. See, a lot of people aren't looking at investing in their children and getting started future. They're looking at hitting a lick. That's a whole different thing, And because the issue is not the money. It's the portal and immediate eligibility when you go to school three in 4 years, 4 schools in 4 years. I transferred colleges when I joined the military. It goes transfer over. But I had like 4 or 5 classes that didn't transfer. I had to take those over again. These kids are not graduating. How can you graduate? You go to 4 schools in 4 years. Because some of these schools don't take credit. Everybody's credit. And you've seen that with some of your friends who may have gone somewhere else. And so once you're doing that every year, that's credit being a transfer. And once you have the eligibility, what now? And I was going to say the uncomfortable part out loud. You should only get 1 free transfer, and that counts your coach leaving. So you need to be strategic here. You know, but the part that people aren't getting is that most college football players don't move the needle money-wise. There's only a handful. I'm not saying they should get paid. I believe they should get paid. But the year 2095 Iron Bowl is already sold out, Christian. Let's just be real. It's sold out. It's going to be there regardless. But the problem is with rules, because let's think about this. Everybody looks like, they can't compete with Texas A&M. If these payrolls keep going up, you think Cody Campbell will shell out $70 million to pay a team? You think these Texas A&M guys will keep shelling out money with no return on investment? And the other reason, just Christian, real quick, one of the reasons coaches want these rules is because it adds more pressure, more money you spend. Everybody loves Lane Kiffin and his funny jokes right now, but LSU reporters shelled out $40 million.
True.
They ain't here in 9-3. You shell out $40 million.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And like you said, it's only going to go up too, which was a damn good point that you made. I mean, if you think about it, probably. I mean, you're right. I mean, because what was it? If you looked up the average roster cost, I hate using it like that, but that's whatever, for lack of a better term. It was around like 20 or so. I think like 17, 18 about a year, maybe 2 years ago. And you're right now, allegedly, there's $40 million rosters. I mean, that alone, that's what I'm saying. If people would just research that, they'd understand. And they'd realize quickly, this whole thing about, Alabama's only doing it because now other people can do it. It's like you said, number one, I've always said on this show, and you guys know I'm transparent. When I tell you, I never received any dime when I came to school here, when I played here at all. Never. Like, not once. Did I have teammates or people that probably came here that might have gotten some? I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I'm sure, probably, under the table, probably. Like, I'll just call a spade a spade. Probably there was something. Does that mean, Coach Saban necessarily knew? Could it just been maybe somebody helping a guy out with maybe, again, do I know for a fact? I don't. You know what I mean? It's like you said, no one taught about anything like that. But I also know if my dad is literally telling me that in 1988, years ago when he was playing at the University of South Carolina, there was handshakes under the table at the University of South Carolina, who was like independent and played whatever comp. Like, this has been going on for the beginning of college football, Smitty. So these people they're just throwing stuff out there, trying to make it, like you said, Ohio State, whoever. Nobody was ever perfect, right? Like, it was what it was, but it is really just about managing what's borderline a crisis right now, because it's going to get unmanageable. And if anything, all these fans that want to get pushback on that, they should probably think about it from the perspective that you should push for revenue sharing. Why? That means there's less demands on you as a fan to be donating more and more money to a collector to pay guys even more money, as if $20 million isn't enough. So I don't know. We're going to talk more about this too, because I got to briefly summarize that. Go ahead.
And one thing is, guys, they're talking about these oil guys in Texas. The price of oil is about to hit $100 a barrel. And you know when that happens, stuff gets more expensive. They ain't going to be selling out as much. Because I'm not going political here, but I'm talking about, like, even just maybe a recession comes, economic downturn, they're going to start pinching pennies. And I don't care how rich you are, because you get tired of giving your own money away, especially if a guy leaves after a year. And you see a case like the Damon Wilson kid. He tried to leave, left Georgia. Georgia gave him some money. He went to Missouri. He had to give some of that back. So I think with rules, right, one, you can get real agents and not guys trying to hit a lick and a come up where you pay 3% instead of 20 or 30. Maybe have like eligibility limits. have a transfer rule. Because if the NFL has player movement rules, why can't college?
Right.
And NBA as well. And we got to be honest, the college basketball transfer portal NIL is more out of control than football. You know, we got teams that shell out money and they have to have a whole new team next year because so many guys bounce around. So I just think what people understand, it's rules. It's not holding anybody down. All these coaches want their players to get money because they know some of these players come from and have much. But it's also up to these parents as well to say, hey, we got to play the long game because college is a 40-year decision, especially playing football. Look at you. You know, I think you're playing 4 or 5 years in the league, but you got a job working for the station now, working for the school, everything like that, because of your connection. Your dad, his connection with South Carolina 30-plus years later still. That is a stuff that is lost. And I think that people have to not just worry about right now, but worry about 20, 30, 40 years from now, because you might not make the league, you may get hurt. And I still say making a practice squad is still a 1%er thing, you know.
But, well, and hear me out. And I don't want to sound like I'm pocket watching, but the other thing too is, man, like if it was like guaranteed that these guys were like the money that was being made, and I understand it's their money, they can do whatever they want. They want to help family, they want to buy themselves jewelry, they want to say whatever they want, it's theirs. I mean, they can do whatever. But if it, like you said, it is a phenomenal way to get a head start. The problem is, man, I don't know how many guys are going to be led to that or given that advice. Because listen, I'll be the first one to tell them. If someone asks me, "Hey, man, like I just signed, I'm making $300,000. What should I do with it?" First thing I would tell them, man, is listen, go set yourself up a Roth IRA, go set up a brokerage account, learn about investing, but don't try to do it on your own right now if you don't know what you're doing. Hire an advisor and start investing that money, because what's going to happen is, right now, you talk about an economic downturn. I mean, you got an opportunity to invest, man. You could leave school in a great position, man, and a huge head start at life. Problem is, and it's not my concern, but the reality is a lot of these guys, man, they're not doing that probably because they're thinking, all right, I'm going to use this money and enjoy this money. Why? Because I'm going to the NFL. They all think they're going to the NFL, whether they realize it or not. They're not all going to the NFL. And even if they do, like you said, it might be 1 year, it might be 10. But you don't know. And unfortunately, man, I don't know. It's a whole another story. But when you got agents responding to my tweet, moaning and groaning, I can already imagine the stuff they're telling these kids, and that just tells me everything that I need to know about what's really going on.
One last thing. Thanks for taking my call as always.
Yeah. These
rules will actually help protect the players because those are 1-year deals on both sides. Right. Because those stories came out that some of those running backs in Texas got told to hit the bricks that we're not going to pay you the same amount of money like you did last year because of protection. That can happen to you as well. What if you break your leg? Knock on wood, doesn't happen to anybody. And school say, hey, man, you come off injury. We can't give you $1 million. We're going to give you $500K.
True.
That stuff could protect you. Look at the NFL, right? Patrick Mahomes, his injuries. He protected Tua. Had his injuries. Even though they let him go, he should join the bloodline, but he got his money. So he still owe him his money because he got those protections. That is what people aren't looking at because that will protect you as well. You have a bad year or injury. Because look at Ryan Williams. He's lucky that Alabama loves him. Because there are some schools that would say, hey, we got to take a pay cut, man.
Oh, wow. Come on, Smitty. I don't know about that.
I ain't knocking them.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Some schools are like that because, everybody ain't equal. But, Alabama loves it. They take care of them and everything, and they believe in them. But some 100%. Schools might say that, hey,
you're saying that's a risk that guys run. No, you're right. That's without security of true contracts and stuff like that. You're right. They don't. Players, whether they realize it or not, right now it works in their favor because they're able to dip and just go to the next payday. But eventually, you're right, it could start catching up to them, and it could work backwards. I'm not saying this is a good example, and I don't really know the situation, but I mean, you look at like Richard Young, and he was a 5-star prospect coming out of school here. I can't remember where he ended up going. Was it Colorado, right? But it felt like he was kind of in the portal for a minute, and it seemed, I mean, I don't know this. I'm just saying, it kind of seemed like maybe the interest wasn't necessarily what he might have thought. Granted, I feel like the writing was on the wall there. I don't know, but you make a lot of good points, man. I agree with you. I'm gonna break that whole deal thing. I'm gonna break the whole deal down in a minute because that had me fired up this weekend. Not really, but I just was like, man, I felt like I was Coach Saban's lawyer, man. I'm like, man, I got to defend my dog. I can't let them just go at my guy like this, man. They're spewing out false narratives and I don't know, negative rhetoric towards them. I'm like, nah, man, I can't let it go down like that. But Smitty, I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thank you. Have a good one, Christian.
Yes, sir. Always. You too, brother. We got to hit timeout. When we come back, we'll keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge. We're breaking down practice number 1 for Alabama football this spring. We'll keep on rolling here. Answer y'all's questions. If you got them, man, drop them. We got plenty of time. We'll keep doing that. We'll discuss this whole deal with Coach Saban and more. Looks like we might even have to stay for some overtime today, man. We got a lot of folks listening. I know we got a lot to talk about, so maybe we'll stay a little extra as well right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Hi, this is Gene Poole, and I'm John Poole of Hudson Poole.
JT, what's up? He says, do you think the season is a build season for 27? I don't think that's necessarily the approach. No, I think their idea, is they want to go out there and compete. They've got confidence in both quarterbacks. I mean, just speaking to, staff, they'll tell you they believe in both these quarterbacks. Outside looking in would tell you, man, going into the year with a new starter at quarterback, or even Coach DeBoer mentioned that with one of his sit downs that he had, which we'll get him on the show here in a couple of weeks, by the way. But, he said that. I mean, yeah, ideally you would rather have a returning guy, but they're very confident in their guys. So from that standpoint, they feel like they can win with both the guys that they have competing. I think they're excited about the players that they brought in that offensive line to work with Coach Clem. In my opinion, I still think there's some concerns with that group. That's my opinion. I'm sure they probably feel otherwise just because those are their guys. They brought them in. But we'll have to see. So to answer your question, JT, from my perspective, I wouldn't call it necessarily a building year, but I do think with so many new faces and question marks, new coaches that have been hired, I mean, a whole new offensive line that consists of guys that are young potential pieces, not necessarily like true proven players, young quarterback. I mean, so you're combining a young offensive line with a young quarterback. I mean, trust me, the writing on the wall is for like a build season. I agree. And that's why I think it might end up playing out kind of like that. My projection, and again, this is my thoughts, not saying I predict the future, but it's just kind of what I see, is it feels like, could end up being like a bubble playoff team, could end up being similar to this past season, 10-2, I think at best, probably just because of the inexperience. But I think that 9-3 range seems probably where it falls. Hopefully it's a little bit better, but I do think 27, to answer your question, I think they're gearing up to be a unit in 27. Because I look at, number one, we bragged about how these young guys look, these true freshmen this year. I mean, just imagine those guys having a year of experience under their belt, a guy like Keelan Russell coming back for his third season, Latsier Brooks stepping up, a lot of these young offensive linemen that you brought in this year, having a lot more continuity and experience. A lot of guys on the defense should still have some eligibility as well. Outside of the secondary, you'll probably lose damn near the whole secondary, but still, I think 27 could probably be a better year than 26, in my opinion. I just think it looks like that. So I do agree with you there. I think the staff, though, I think they're going to roll. They're going to roll with it. I think they're going to go into this year expecting to compete and make a run. I don't see them having any other mindset, only because, I mean, this is University of Alabama. I mean, even mention the word rebuild going on year 3 just sounds kind of weird. So I don't think that, because, I mean, you also have to be careful, because, I mean, we all know how the reactions were this past year. I mean, hell, you made the SEC championship game, you made the college football playoffs, and look at what the reactions were. I mean, even though I think grounded fans and folks like myself say, hey, 9-3 is possible, and if that happens, that's almost kind of expected with the youth that you have. Like, it wouldn't really, move me like that. I think there's a lot of fans out there that if they see a 9-3 season in year 3, there could be a lot of pressure. So I don't think the staff would necessarily like anticipate that, if that makes sense. But that's a really good question, though. Really good question. Yeah, we're going to talk about this whole Coach Saban thing because we need to dive into that. Any questions real quick regarding spring ball or football real quick before we segue a little bit to that Coach Saban conversation for a minute? I'm probably going to stay on here overtime too, so don't worry, because I know we got a lot of folks tuning in, and there's plenty to talk about. Unfortunately, I know we only got like 30-something minutes left of radio time. It was the way Bama lost. Exactly, right. Now, we've agreed on that for sure, right? You change even those last two. If you take the Indiana game, the Georgia game from the SEC championship game, and we feel like we're beating a dead horse, but for the folks that haven't heard us to have this conversation, I think you guys will agree. If you take that Indiana game and say it's a one-score game, a competitive football game, you take the Georgia SEC championship game, similar situation, I guarantee you the conversation this offseason is not even remotely close. I mean, there would be probably hardly any rumblings of, oh, this year, Coach DeBoer, it's a big year. Like, I don't think that would even be a conversation. I think people would just be talking about the team looking to build off what they did. But instead, and this is what I said Friday, and let me know what you guys think about this. This is my theory. The loss to Florida State to start the season set the tone and the expectation for the rest of the season. Meaning, once people saw that version of Alabama, they made up in their mind what that Alabama football team was. And even though Alabama spent the next 2 months and changing that narrative, going on that 4-game ranked winning streak, all the good stuff that they did, it still was in the back of their mind of what people saw week 1 against Florida State. So when it started creeping back in towards the end of the season, they immediately reverted back to what they saw against Florida State, which set the tone for the rest of the year. That is my opinion. I think even if the Florida State game was a little bit different, maybe the narrative about this football team would be slightly different. But I'm telling you, I think that Florida State game set the tone, and then the way we finished with those losses, not being great losses, being pretty bad, and then really just, the energy not really being very competitive. I think that is just a recipe for what's driving the narrative right now about Alabama. Because if you look at it, they do have some really talented young pieces. I will say that they do. And welcome back into this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're breaking down day 1 of spring ball. Again, it concluded yesterday. Really exciting having football back, man. And you can tell, man, everybody's fired up, man. We got a boatload of people watching on our streams, radio, and all that stuff. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, man. I'm going to talk about this Coach Saban situation, that whole deal that we were talking about over the weekend, at least on X. But I want to make sure we wrap up any last minute thoughts on practice number 1, which we can always circle back to it. But I don't want to jump back and forth if I don't have to. I think we covered pretty much everything, Chase. If I'm not mistaken, we touched on some of the weights that have been updated on the roster. I don't think we really missed too many guys. I mean, if we did, I apologize. I know one last thing was we got a question on X over the weekend about the defensive line. I think it was Way Offsides. They're asking if I felt that they were undersized. My thoughts on our D-line right now, I would say this. From a tackle position, I don't think we're undersized. I think they're right about where you would expect them to be, especially for an SEC group. Not to mention, I feel like Kane Womack's system, I think he likes athleticism. I think he likes using movement up front, letting guys penetrate and be athletes. So it makes sense. Now, from a nose tackle perspective, I do believe we are a little undersized. Tim Keenan was like 6'1", 330. I mean, he's like a big bowling ball. He ate up blocks. I mean, that was his game, right? He was a big 2-gap style nose guard that, kept his linebackers clean. That was really his style. I feel like what they're moving closer towards, I think the heaviest nose we have at this point is Terrence Green, who's 6'5", 319, which at 6'5", 319 is not like, if you think about it, if he was 6'2", 319, that's one thing. But 6'5", 319, that's a long, lengthy kind of guy at nose, which isn't bad, because my theory is this. I think they're probably moving towards a little bit more athleticism. They want a little bit more length. They want guys that can probably move, and maybe we'll see a little bit of a shift in kind of what they're doing. I think the last couple of years, if you think about it, they kind of had a mix, right? They had a number of guys from Coach Saban's system that, he used to like big 3-4 type defensive linemen, which are going to be bigger, 2-gap players that can really eat up blocks. And you started seeing a little bit more smaller athletic guys come in the program. And now I think they've kind of shifted more towards that. I mean, when Kane Womack speaks to the media, that'd be a great question. If I'm not up there, any of our beat writers, I know a lot of people listen to this show, whether they follow us or not. For some reason, we have a bunch of people that interact with our tweets, but they won't follow the page. I guess people want to see you do well, but not better than them. I don't know. But ask Kane Womack that. Ask him, what is the philosophy behind going a little bit smaller on the defensive line? Is it intentional? Are you trying to get more athletic? Are you looking to get more movement? That'd be a great question. You can borrow it from me. I'm giving you guys permission. Ask him. But I think that's kind of the idea there. So while you're a little undersized at nose, at tackle, not so much. It's pretty standard. And I'm excited to see how the group kind of comes together. I mean, listen, there's different styles of play up front. I mean, if you're going to be more of a penetrating style, I've always said this, man, you're probably going to see more TFLs. It's going to be more aggressive, some more negative plays, but you also do risk giving up some plays in the run game at times because guys end up playing on different levels. So there's always pros and cons to things. The Panthers, we were a penetrating type defense. I'm not saying they're necessarily doing this, but I'm just kind of explaining the differences. With Coach Saban, it was a big two gap. We're striking hands and hips. Guys up front, they're controlling those gaps, helping keep linebackers clean. I mean, basically, you're selling out for the backers to make all the plays. In a penetrating system, they want you getting upfield, firing off the football, even on rundowns, right? Third downs are different, but on rundowns, they just want you firing off the ball. You see a lot more, slicing and dicing up front. And it can create negative plays, but sometimes what happens is you got guys on different levels, opens up some holes, and backs can sometimes exploit that, and they can go for some explosive. So I'm not saying you'll definitely see a bunch more of that, but when I just look at the roster, sometimes I kind of get that vibe that maybe that's a little bit more of what you see, especially when you think about Kane Womack and his philosophy, letting guys be athletes, make plays. I think he tends to lean in that direction. So will be interesting to see how that whole thing develops. All right, let's hit a quick timeout again, Chase, so we can catch up on breaks. And when we come back, we'll keep answering questions about spring ball if you guys have them. Just drop them. I promise I'll get to them. But I want to talk a little bit about Coach Saban and explain kind of what transpired over the weekend with that whole deal right here when we come back on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Max your tax refund with big furniture discounts and low monthly payments at Spiller Furniture and Mattress. Apply online for in-store financing or ask about no credit check.
All right, let me pull this up real quick. On the job training. Y'all are funny, man. Maybe ask the wait, this is an app message we have. Maybe ask the Associate SEC Commissioner why Sankey took such a public stand against Charles Bediako when there are literally hundreds of European pros. Oh, wait, I think that was for, no, that was when we were on air. Maybe that was for a different conversation. I don't know. I feel like we beat that conversation like a dead horse, man. Listen. So I thought we were getting yelled at, man. I saw all caps. I was like, oh man, what we do, man? We made somebody mad. But now it was the opposite. JD says, really like watching and listening to you, Chris. You're so kind and humble. You don't of course you said that after I was just joking around saying talking about some of the people that don't support us. Kidding, but not kidding. You're so kind and humble. You don't find this truth in a lot of people. It's so uplifting. Plus, I'm learning more about the sport, my friend. Hey, man, thanks for the love, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Listen, man, we just try to entertain you guys, but educate at the same time, and just be honest, talk football, give our perspectives, and always try to keep it real with you guys, but in a respectful way, Sometimes I think people take keeping it real a little bit too literal, and they end up being like, excuse my language, but they end up being assholes, mistaking it for just keeping it real. But I'm like, you can keep it real and do it in a respectful way, and that's what I try to do. That's what I try to. I just try to break it down honestly, give you guys the word, keep it real, but keep it respectful. Looks like Miami has already found a replacement for Tua Tagovailoa. Dolphins are signing Malik Willis to a 3-year, $67.5 million deal, $45 million guaranteed. So That'll be interesting, man. He's looked good, man. He's really developed nicely. I think that's why it's important. A lot of people kind of wrote him off after he got drafted to Tennessee. He just really wasn't ready yet. He's had some time to develop, sit back, and play behind some guys, and I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. We'll see. Oh, God, we got Digger on the phone lines. I forgot we got to get to him, too. All right. I wanted to get to the Coach Saban thing before we, and Digger might have to wait like 5 minutes. Might have to wait 5 minutes. Do you think Saban talking to Congress will help with the NIL situation, or will it still be the Wild West? Good question, man. Listen, I think it sounds like they're going to try to push some legislation through. Still yet to see that. Still yet to see what? What are you referring to, Agent? I think they're going to try to make something happen. Now, will it be a bipartisan effort? I'm not sure. The problem with politics, man, especially when you're talking about stuff being bipartisan, is you have a bunch of people that are salty people, and they're too busy trying to basically do things out of spite or out of opposition instead of doing what's right. So I don't know, what they could propose that would get passed, what people would actually, I don't know, but I do think it's a step in the right direction personally. I myself was skeptical when they first announced the whole meeting, because at this point, I'm just, you can show me better than you can tell me. I feel like people talk a lot about NIL change and fixing the problem, but then nothing ever really gets done. Or if it does get done, it's not taken seriously, kind of like the NIL Go initiative. But it sounds like they're actually taking it serious. So we'll have to see. And welcome back into this Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout real quick from the day one recap. Now, we still got some time we'll talk about. If you guys have any questions, you always can drop your questions. I promise we'll definitely answer your questions. But I do want to talk a little bit about the update on the whole deal with Coach Saban and others. There's a big group of people that attended the meeting. But long story short, Coach Saban was amongst a big group of folks in the athletic world that attended a meeting to help push some legislation to course correct what's going on in the college athletics world. That said, since we are talking about a little bit of a legal matter, let me give you guys a quick word on our friends over at Lamparello Law Education and Advocacy, founded by our friend Adam, who joins us on Thursday. So anytime we have questions about this, we'll ask him more about this when he comes on Thursday. He is our go-to, plus he is our official representation. But they are more than that. If you guys are or have high school, college, or graduate students looking for academic and career success, whether that's mentoring, exam and test taking preparation, application strategy, personal statements, resumes, and so much more, they'll help out with that. Or students, faculty, and athletes that are dealing with misconduct matters, First Amendment cases, NIL issues, and of course, all criminal defense matters. They will take care of you guys. Plus, they'll do it at affordable prices, genuine care, passion, and relentless advocacy. So if you guys want that type of representation, or for any of your needs, like I said, it's much more than representation, especially with students and young adults. Check them out, Lamparello Law Education and Advocacy, 201-317-5115. Adam at lamparello-law.com. You can email him as well. And lamparello-law.com is the website that will be dropped very, very soon. Really excited about that. Again, that is Lamparello Law Education and Advocacy, the official representation here on the Miller's Edge. So speaking of representation and all those types of things, man, well above my pay grade. Let's hear what Coach Saban had to say when he spoke at Capitol Hill regarding NIL and what he believes are the issues going on and how he thinks it can help be fixed. This is what Coach Saban had to say.
I'm just a football coach. I spent my life when we had the ball trying to get a first down, when they had the ball trying to get off the field on third down. So this is an unlikely position for me to be in to speak to such a distinguished group of people. Thank you. But I come here today with a question. What are the guiding principles for the future of college athletics? All athletics. I'm talking about football, basketball, Olympic sports, revenue, non-revenue, it doesn't matter. You know, my goal as a coach for my players, for our players, was to help them be more successful in life, that we would create an atmosphere and environment that would help them through personal development, academic support, 668 degrees and 17 years at Alabama, and help them develop a career as a football player. That was our goal, so that they were creating value in life and we were preparing them for their future past athletics. So what happened? You know, in this current system that we have, that became impossible to do because people, instead of making decisions about creating value for their future, they were making decisions about how much money could they make at whichever school they could go to or transfer to. So I think we have a challenge here today about the ramifications of this current system on how it helps players be successful in their future and how we can impact and create a system that will help and preserve the opportunity for student athletes to be able to have success in their future beyond athletics. So we need to develop an effective system of revenue sharing, authentic name, image, and likeness, authentic being you have marketing value, which now we have collectives, which just create opportunities, which just become pay for play. Eligibility issues where we have guys playing 6, 7, and 8 years. So you have 25 and 26-year-old people playing against 18 and 19-year-olds, which is not healthy. Transfer rules, we have over 4,000 people in the portal. Fans don't like it, support groups don't like it. It's not really healthy for players in graduation to transfer several times in your career. You really put yourself in a pickle in terms of your ability to graduate. So I think we need to come up with a system, and we obviously have to do it with the president's leadership and also with Congress probably, whether it's antitrust legislation or whatever it is, to allow student athletes in all sports, including women's and Olympic sports, to enhance their quality of life while going to college, but still provide opportunity to advance themselves beyond their athletic career.
All right, so there's like 15 more seconds or so, whatever it was, but that was the gist of it. I know we're running a little bit limited on time. Chase, let me ask you a question real quick now that we heard from Coach Saban. Did you hear him say that athletes of any sport should not be compensated or paid?
I think he had said that, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait,
now
you said you think he said they shouldn't be paid?
No, they should. Excuse me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
Yes. No, you're good. I was about to say, yeah. So he didn't say anywhere that they should not be paid. You're right. In fact, he did what you said. He said they should. He mentioned revenue sharing in authentic NIL deals. That was what Coach Saban had to say. And of course, leave it to the folks on social media, Chase, to twist the words, to, call him all types of things, say that he's taking opportunities away from athletes. He's mad because, he had his success and now he doesn't want others to reach that same level. I mean, I've heard pretty much everything, Chase. So, my initial response is when I first saw that, I wanted to comment on it because number one, this is what I said. Here's my tweet. I said, amazing how people keep misinterpreting Coach Saban here. He not once said players should not be paid. In fact, he supports it, whether if you heard him what he just said there, or even if you go back to even when NIL was first being, he's always said he is in favor of players being compensated. It's just going about it the right way. My tweet goes on to say his point was about creating structure with things like revenue sharing, authentic NIL opportunities, and clear guidelines to bring some order to the current chaos of pay for play via collectives, excessive transferring, and eligibility abuse. Again, I'm just reiterating everything he just said here. Right? If you just listen to the 3-minute clip, that's what he's talking about, which to an extent has diminished the value of education and ironically created even more disparity because there is no real structure or cap, something every professional sports league operates under. Coach Saban is a 7-time national championship winning head coach who is now happily retired. If you think for a second his intentions are anything other than trying to help improve the landscape of college athletics, you're sadly mistaken. Because that's what it boils down to, Chase. I just try to summarize it because clearly people didn't listen to it. And you'd be shocked, man. I mean, if you go and look at some of the responses under here, majority, we got a lot of Alabama fans that follow us and support us. So most of Alabama fans clearly understand what I'm saying and they're supporting that. But here you go. Joel E. Turner, who is an NFL and NIL agent. What he's proposing is giving the players a major haircut with about 8 exclamation points, as if I didn't see the first one. He wants the schools back in charge with all the leverage. First of all, again, you notice a trend. The people that are going to be affected, their hit dog will holler. They're going to be the first ones making comments. He's not shaving back. Listen, inevitably, will some of it be shaved back if you only rely on true NIL combined with revenue sharing? Yes. Now, is that unfortunate for agents like this guy or even players? Because they started maybe, like Smitty talked about, we went from $20 million to $30, $40 million rosters. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a little unfortunate, but here's the thing, guys. Right now, the more money is coming at an expense of, there's more disparity, and it's only going to grow, like Smitty said. I mean, there's a reason. Just look at it. There's a reason there's salary caps in the NFL is to try to remain, or to keep things, equal, right? To keep, I can't speak, man. To keep that parity in the sport, right? So you don't have one team having an $80 million roster and one with a $40 million roster. That's what creates disparity. And he's not doing it because, the whole thing about people were getting paid already and now he wants. It's not that, man. He said this was going to happen. And if anything, people fail to realize Alabama has done just fine in this era. Like, do we have the same, I guess, roster budget as maybe Oregon or even Indiana now, who's backed by Mark Cuban? You got a billionaire who's just willing to pay whatever at Miami, same kind of deal. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but Alabama is definitely in a very good spot and has had no problem landing recruits. In fact, we've landed the top 3, top 5 recruiting classes the last couple of years, even without Coach Saban. So for anybody that's it's like the hypocrisy is crazy. Alabama is not like behind and he's on fighting on behalf. He doesn't coach Alabama anymore. We might pay him as an advisor, but if you think he's doing this so he can help Alabama keep an advantage, like people just come up with anything. So that was that. You have some more people in the comments. I noticed it's a trend. You got Tennessee fans and fans of Auburn and Miami just making comments and all these things. Then I had another response where somebody said, and I think this guy's a former player. I think he played at Miami while they ran college football, which I guarantee you talk about people getting paid since everybody wants to point fingers at Alabama. You're telling me the U back in the day probably wasn't doing, generous handshakes. Come on, man. Anyway, he mentioned there's already revenue sharing, a cap and structure. Hey, I get it. Maybe people are confused when Coach Saban's throwing out revenue sharing as if he's mentioned it like it doesn't exist. That's not it. He's saying that needs to be the structure. You use the revenue sharing to compensate the players. That way, you're letting collectives basically just go over the cap. That's basically what is happening, right? Nobody is saying take away payment of players. They're saying do it through revenue sharing. That way, you can actually have a true cap. Because right now, schools use the collectives to go over that cap, right? You have the revenue sharing, say it's $21 million. What people do is they then offer NIL deals on top of that. So they use the $21 million of revenue sharing, and then they use another 10, 15, whatever million dollars in compensation via collectives. That's the problem, because one school might have more money in their collective than another, and that's why it creates disparity. So I responded to this guy hoping I could clear this up, and I was trying to be nice. I said, there is revenue sharing, yes, which was a step in the right direction. However, there is no cap or structure when it comes to collectives being able to pay players whatever they please just to play with no true NIL obligations that match the value. Meaning, when these guys sign via collective, will they do a signing at Coleman Coliseum or Rupp Arena, wherever? Like, yes. But is that worth $500,000? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not true value that is matching what is being paid. It's just pay for play. This leads to disparity, as not all collectives are created equal. The clearinghouse was created to combat this, but no one is actually abiding by it. That is the issue. That's lack of structure being referred to, meaning the clearinghouse, which was created, if you guys remember about a year ago or whenever it was, that they said, hey, any NIL deal over $600 must be reported and approved by a committee of lawyers, advisors, whoever the case may be. No one abides by that. If that was the case, we would be in a better situation, but no one abides by it. They don't take it seriously. Right? It basically is like it happened, and then they basically just threw it out the window. Not to mention, it has reached the point where players are now increasing their demands beyond financial compensation, such as housing, vehicles, personal and or for family members. That is true. Airfare for family members to travel, complimentary roster spots, etc. Look, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm against the players. I'm sure a lot of players benefit from a lot of stuff I just mentioned. And I hate to be it. I'm not trying to sound like I'm pocket watching. But I'm sorry, but that's a little bit of a problem. I mean, even the NFL, you don't have that. I mean, I couldn't just go, hey, man, I'll go to David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, but hey, man, I got family out on the West Coast, man, and you're paying me all this money every year to play for you, but I need you to take care of all their flights to come watch me play. You can't do that. You know what I mean? Like there's stuff like that going on. People asking, hey, pay for my girlfriend's tuition. There are demands now that this is beyond just being compensated for NIL or even just pay for play. I mean, it's crazy. Much of what's happening in college athletics isn't even happening in professional leagues. How much sense does that make? To be clear, there is no one against players being paid. The push is to have it structured through revenue sharing to create a true cap that upholds parity in the sport. No different than the NFL. NBA has a soft cap. Other leagues do. MLB, I don't think they really have a cap. MLS, I don't know if they have one, but all other sports do, and rightfully so. The collective pay for play model is what needs to be addressed, as it theoretically erases any cap in place due to schools using that method to go above and beyond the revenue share cap. Of course, that would still allow genuine NIL deals to be permitted and even encouraged. Last but not least, meaning no one's saying, get rid of NIL dues. I've had somebody say, oh, why does it matter what you cap deals at? Why does it matter that they're monitoring deals? Well, newsflash, that's what's creating the disparity, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with, if a guy wants to get a dealership to sponsor him, and that dealership give him a lease while he's in school, or, you get a bank to sponsor you or something, they're paying you to do commercials. That's what NIL is. NIL is not pay for play. Revenue sharing is pay for play, and that is legal pay for play that can be monitored and capped. That way you maintain parity. I know I've said a whole bunch. I know you guys are probably sick of this conversation, but you would think after all of that explanation, people would understand. But believe it or not, Chase, you still got a bunch of idiots that still respond to this stuff with this, oh, he's just a cheater. He's mad that people can now pay players like he did all those years. I mean, yeah, it's just wild. So that was basically what went down this weekend. Of course, we had spring ball, which is great, but you had this nonsense going on, and definitely just wanted to kind of summarize that here on the show, because sometimes you see I'm over here tweeting a novel here, but still allegedly wasn't enough to get through the thick skull of some folks that don't want to admit it, man. There's a problem with college athletics. You're not taking away from them necessarily. You're just trying to just ring it in a little bit, create some structure, and go from there. All right, so yeah, we're going to have to wrap things up here because we gotta stay on time here. But that was basically what I wanted to get off about that. Hopefully you guys understand. I think you guys do. I think it's just the lunatics on the internet. That said, we're going to keep discussing Alabama football over the course of the week. They'll be back on the practice field tomorrow, so we'll talk about that. I'm sure there'll be nice clips and videos and photos we'll discuss. We'll keep breaking it down. You got the quarterback going on. I see that clip right there. The quarterback's throwing. We'll keep discussing everything, all the offensive line, all that good stuff, man. We'll dive even deeper into that. And if anything, if you guys have questions, always hit us up at the Miller's Edge on X. I'm glad to answer you there or break things down. And of course, we'll bring them here on the show and discuss it as well. Excuse me. Last but not least, one last note before I hit, end on the radio side of things. Speaking of NFL, I talked to a guy last night that you guys are definitely very familiar with. Really very, very successful player in the NFL right now. And I think we might be able to get him on the show because he's got some really cool stuff going on. He actually just wrote himself a book, a children's book, and I wanted to talk about it. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP and winning quarterback. Hopefully we'll be joining us soon, man. We gotta get the logistics all set up, but hopefully we'll be talking with him soon about what he's got going on and more right here on the show. But that'll do it for us on the radio side of things. I'll hang out here a little bit on the stream if there's any last minute questions, but without further ado, look forward to doing it again with you guys tomorrow on a Talking Tuesday with Clint Lamb at the top of the hour right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We'll see you guys then.
You've been listening to the Miller's Edge, tackling sports daily. The Tuscaloosa Thread News Update is brought.
Dang, my congestion finally caught up with me, man. It was that whole conversation about Coach Saban, man. But yeah, sorry I had to rush that. Excuse me. I'll tell you guys more about it once we get it set up. But yeah, long story short, I talked with Jalen yesterday, man. Good to catch up with him, but he said he definitely would love to jump on here. He's going to try to set it up with his team, and whenever we get that set up, I'll let you guys know. But man, I hadn't caught up with my dog in a minute, man. It's been a while, so I'm excited about it. But no, I saw that he wrote him a children's book, man. Appreciate that, Chase. Yes, sir. Be easy, brother. Now he had wrote a children's book, man. So I wanted to talk about that. Think it'd be really cool. But of course, we'll talk some football too. I mean, he's been doing his thing, man. Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP. A lot of good stuff going on for him, but I think it'd be cool. Can you address my earlier comment at the beginning about Milroe? What was it, Mario? I missed it. I'm sorry. Goodness, man. Sorry about that. Yeah. He just released a children's book, man. So I wanted to talk about that, but of course we'll talk some football for sure. Excuse me. Yeah, he did. We graduated together. I got my master's when he got his undergrad, and then I want to say he got another degree when he was at Oklahoma. But I got to ask him too to put this debate to bed, man. Both fan bases always are trying to claim him, so I want to get his thoughts on it. I know what he's going to say. You know, Jalen, man, he's so well spoken. He's going to give us a politician answer on that, man. He reps both, and rightfully so, he does. But I do want to ask him that. I want to ask him what he thinks about when both fan bases are going back and forth like that. But I would imagine it's probably roll Sooners. Yeah, Mario, what was your question, man? I'm sorry, I might have missed it, man. Wait, hold on. Unheard of for Milroe. Wait, hold on. Wait, what happened? Wait, what did I miss? Coaches and administration members have all agreed that they wish there were rules and everyone had to follow. Well, yeah, I mean, because it's hard for these schools. I mean, guys, you got to think about it, man. So you saw the University of Alabama's, budget. I mean, first of all, revenue sharing is not even going to be easy for everybody either. Football kind of carries the load for all of their sports here. I mean, football and basketball are the only revenue generating sports. It's going to be like that at a lot of other schools. Now, Alabama would be at a slight disadvantage given that we have a very competitive basketball team and a very competitive football team. So allocating those resources, would be interesting. And you could still do authentic NIL. I want to be clear, like that's what people are missing, man. Like, even when they hear Coach Saban, like I don't know how else I need to explain it for people to understand. Like if the school says, "Hey, we are in connection or in contact with Coca-Cola, and they want to run a campaign for say Keelan Russell as a starting quarterback at the University of Alabama, and that campaign is worth $150,000." Like that's a legit NIL deal. Now, not everybody can get those types of deals, but what I'm saying is like that still, even though it's a lucrative deal, it's valid, right? Bryce Young, he came back after winning the Heisman. Like all those deals, like those were valid deals. Like that's totally fine. Wait. After you talked about the Kalen DeBoer interview I watched, they said Milroe was selfish and a bad character guy. Wait, hold on. Wait. You talking about when we interviewed Coach DeBoer last season? And who's they? Who? Wait, hold on. You got to fill me in on that one. Yeah, hold on. You guys lost me on that one. I ain't gonna lie. I go off of of personal experience before you clarify. But yeah, please clarify. I'm confused a little bit. But listen, dude, Jalen is one of the most respectful people that I've ever met. Always carried himself that way. Great teammate. I mean, I don't know Cole Kublik's show. Cole Kublik said that? Hold on. Now I'm really confused, man. I don't know anybody that. I mean, could I see a world where? Because I'm not dumb. I mean, could I see a world where there could have been maybe some of his teammates that could have been frustrated, or there could have been something maybe for something on the field, maybe? Sure. And I'm not saying that's the case. The only reason I throw that out there is because, listen, I played this game for a while. I've been in plenty of locker rooms. Like, hell, speaking of my guy, Jalen Hurts, like, there was times that some guys on the team could be a little frustrated. You know, some guys maybe wanted, more opportunities or something like that. I mean, like that's natural in football. You know what I mean? You got a bunch of, especially on the football team with a bunch of competitive guys. I would be lying if I said there weren't situations or times like that where, I mean, there's some, tension. I would use the word. It wasn't like bad blood or nothing like that. I mean, maybe like tension at times. That happens, man. I mean, that's part of the game, man. You got a bunch of guys competing. Everybody wants to be great. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes that stuff happens. So to circle back, I don't know personally if that was the deal. I wasn't in that locker room with these guys on the team, but I can speak on what I know from being up there all the time. I mean, I was working as a sideline reporter for a while, being like, I mean, everybody I know, everybody loved J Mill. Was there probably some tension here or there at times? Maybe some frustrations, that might be a better word. Of course, that happens on pretty much every football team. It happens. But to call that man selfish, or what do you say, selfish, a bad character guy? Him and not saying his name. Wait, let's pull it up. Because they posted that. I want to say they posted that interview. Let me see. I mean, that's crazy though, man. That's crazy for if they said that. That's why is their show not coming up? Is it Mac and Cube, or what is it? Cube and Mac? There it is. Let me go back. I want to say they posted like the first hour. You said it was the day they did the Coach DeBoer interview? Bro, yeah. First of all, how would he know if he's the same person every day if he's not even in that locker room? Like, I'm not saying I know everything, but number one, I'm around more than he is. But two, even with me being up there often, I would never sit there and try to speak on, like the politics of a locker room that I'm not really a part of. I mean, you can go off, I guess, if a player says something or, but any of the players I've ever even talked to have never said. I mean, that's like I said. If you want to say tension or frustration, I totally fine with that. Like, I know there was some of that. Right? There was a little bit at times. That's fine. That happens on a football team sometimes. It is what it is. All brothers at the end of the day. That's not that deep. But to go as far as like calling somebody's character out like that's especially on public radio, that's crazy. But I need to hear it first before I think it was hour number 1. Hold on, let's see.
Back in. We are back. It's Friday.
You just watch him throw it. Ball comes off his hand really nicely. He's got great feel for the system. This is year 4 in the system. That is a lot to have been in the same
% on any service that they offer. When that one, I do want to get to SEC quarterback
space. They can do all sorts of different things, and we know right now too. Look,
I feel like I can sit here and give you strengths of both. Why one could win it, why the other could win it, why Keelan could win it, why Austin could win it, maybe could.
Just let me know I'm on the right thing, right? This was when they had Coach DeBoer. You said it was that same day, right?
Foolish to say that this thing is close to done, and this thing is just going to be an easy win.
Between now and when. Let's just go through everything. One, he was a freshman in college at 17 years old, which to me shows you that there was a little bit of immaturity early on. but has since grown up an awful lot. Still a young player, so still scratching his 3. I think he's got super sneaky mobility. 6'6", 240. I'm part of the equation with him. Got really good touch for a big guy with the strong arm. You just watch him throw it. Ball comes off his hand really nicely. He's got great feel for the system a lot. To have been in the same system for 4 years, how many people have that geometry section of the playbook when a lot of guys are still just learning simple out?
All right, kind of right after the Katie interview.
The guy was a dang roller coaster every day.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
At quarterback.
He was run first quarterback.
People roll their eyes if you actually did. The quickest way out of a position and or a competition is making bad decisions and giving other team free points. So every time you turn it over, it's on, mathematically speaking, it's like 3.1 points per for the other team. So every time you turn it over, it's a giveaway. That's a field goal at the very least. So all those things looking into it, those 2 things are into the non-negotiables, but you wouldn't be there if you actually did neither of those. The other things, I think, one, have a good attitude. Yeah. Same guy every day. Same guy every day. Like, that's, I think, a challenge sometimes too. And I know, like, people roll their eyes when you and I are probably coaching T-ball and first grade coach pitch or whatever it might be. People probably roll their eyes. They're like, oh, God, I wish they'd talk a little more about the fundamentals of baseball and not so much about being a good teammate and having fun. God's honest truth, if I were Kalen DeBoer and I'm trying to see who my quarterback's going to be, I need that guy to be the same guy every day. What was Jalen Milroe's biggest issue outside of being selfish?
Some days he was run first quarterback. Some days he was pocket quarterback. Some days he was yelling at his teammates. Some days he wasn't.
He was a different guy every day. You literally didn't know what you're going to get when he showed up.
Bro, that's honestly, that's crazy, man.
Which made him the most frustrating player we've covered, I think, for all of us. Like, great talent. The guy was a dang roller coaster every day.
Yeah.
At quarterback, pretty much more than any other position, you could have roller coasters other positions. That's kind of to be expected. At quarterback, you better get the same dang guy every day. And guess what? In the quarterback competition, there's going to be days when Austin's running with the ones. There's going to be days when
I'm just curious what's driving him to, or what,
things looking into it. Those 2 things are into the non-negotiable.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is where he's getting at. I mean, he obviously talked to somebody because, number one, he's not in there. And number 2, like, Greg probably goes to maybe, I've seen him up there maybe like once or twice, like in off season, maybe, if that. You know what I mean? Like, he's not like frequently up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so obviously he's somebody either in the building mentioned that. He's assuming that. I mean, those are really the only 2 options you have, because he's. I'm just telling you. I mean, like I'm around a lot. You know what I mean? Like, so that's one thing. He's not around a lot, so I don't know. That's just kind of crazy to. And the way he's saying it is if like he know, like they both know for certain. I'm not saying their things were always perfect, but to call a guy out like that, to me, I don't know, man. I don't like that. Honestly, I really don't. Like, I might be a little critical at times when we're breaking down tape. And you guys know I always try to, even when I have to be critical, I try to find a positive to point out. Or I try to say, like, hey, but this can be corrected this way. Oh, that's a bad rep. We got to get better. But to me, that and that's more so like what they're doing on the field. When you talk about somebody's character like that, especially on your own public radio show like that, and you're a former player themselves, I'll be honest, I can't really get behind that, man. I don't really respect it. I mean, if you want to talk about a guy like that, I mean, why don't you call him and talk and tell him that personally? That's just kind of my take on that. Yeah, I didn't hear that. I'll be honest with you. I don't listen to that show. I really don't listen to any other shows. I kind of just jump on here and we talk about what we talk about. So I miss a lot of stuff unless people tag us in it. So this is my first time hearing that. I'll say this. I'll give you guys a straight up though. In 2023, when Jalen was competing. This is when Coach Saban was here. And I think that, to me, this is what I think he's going off of. I think this is what, here, I'll replay it for you, QD. I think this is what he's going off of. Because when in 2023, when Jalen was named the starter, when they benched him going into the USF game, I was at practice that week. I literally know, especially at that time, knew a whole bunch of people on staff. And I'll just be the first one to tell you guys, like, and Jalen will tell you too. I think he mentioned it. He didn't initially handle it the right way. You know, when they came to him and they told him that he wouldn't be starting, they basically were benching him. You know, he didn't have a great attitude. The first practice after that, like when they came back, like that's just a fact. Like I was at the practice, I watched it. You know, he wasn't really, his head wasn't in it like that. He wasn't really, you know, approaching it the right way. And we talked about this when it first happened, when there was reports about it. Matter of fact, Greg was the one reporting that, like making a big deal out of it. But let me say this, like, yeah, in a perfect world, as a team player, like, should you immediately just go like, you know what? You know, I didn't necessarily play my best. They're giving another guy an opportunity. You know, I need to support him to my fullest, which is what Jalen ended up doing. Now, maybe to Greg, it came off as like a roller coaster, disingenuous, because if you guys watched during the game, he was super supportive. But it wasn't disingenuous. What it was is he had a couple of days to really reflect on it and understand, like, you know, it was what it was. I would argue if someone went to Greg's ass as a competitor and said, hey, man, we're putting you on the bench, we're putting AJ in. Like, you're telling me you're just going to sit there and be Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky? I mean, like, guys are competitors, man. Like, I'm not saying he handled it the right way, taking that approach the first day or so, but I do know he course corrected, he addressed it, and he did end up going about it the right way. So to me, I think Greg is going off of that situation, because I do remember Greg being very vocal about that. And at the time, this probably would have been a little bit more applicable. I'll play it for you, QD.
All right. He wouldn't be playing quarterback at Alabama if he wasn't accurate. Always got to make good decisions. Obviously, that the quickest way out of a position team, 3 points. So away, that's a field goal. People probably roll their eyes. They're like, we're Kalen DeBoer, and I'm trying to see who my issue outside of being selfish. We're Kalen DeBoer, and I'm trying to see who my quarterback's going to be. I need that guy to be the same guy every day. What was Jalen Milroe's biggest issue outside of being selfish?
It almost sounds personal, man. It's weird.
Some days he was run first quarterback. Some days he was pocket quarterback. Some days.
And you see Cole is going off of, you know, him playing on the football field. But this dude.
He was yelling at his teammates. Some days he wasn't.
He was a different guy every day. You literally didn't know what you were going to get when he showed up, which made him the most frustrating player we've covered.
The most frustrating player we've covered. I mean, like, that is such a stretch.
The guy was
man.
a dang roller coaster every day.
Yeah.
At quarterback, pretty much more than any other position, you could have roller coasters other positions. That's kind of to be expected.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Something just sounds a little personal to me. It's weird energy. I'm not rocking with it, man. I'm not rocking with it. But yeah, my opinion, Mario, is I think it sounds like it's stemming from the deal in 2023 when he got benched. Didn't necessarily handle it the right way. I remember them talking about it, I think, on the broadcast, stuff like that. Because what happens is ESPN is like invited, or they attend practice like on Thursday typically. At least for us, it'd be a Thursday practice, right? ESPN, whoever's on call that game, they attend practice, they observe all that, they get their notes. And so, yeah, they probably showed up, and that was kind of the storyline. You know, Jalen Milroe was being benched. They're going to start Tyler Buckner. Of course, you know, they're going to talk with coaches and stuff. And yeah, you know, Jalen didn't really handle it the best initially. So like that was the rumblings, and it was true, right? Again, I'm telling you guys, I was at the practice. I witnessed it. But that was then, though. And then after that, man, I'm telling you guys, I haven't heard anything. Again, that was 2 years ago, especially even going into this past season, man. Not past season, I'm sorry, but Jalen's year, Coach DeBoer's first year, the season prior. I mean, he went out there, great attitude, great leader, competed. Yeah, it was a battle. I mean, they gave Ty opportunities. I don't ever recall anybody mentioning anything about selfish or it's just weird, man. Definitely personal. Greg's tight with Simpson. 100%. Yeah, I mean, it does kind of feel weird like that. I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was talking to people on a different side of that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to think of, I mean, I'm trying to because I know 2023, like I'll be honest, well, there's some times in 2023, like I think like Isaiah Bond like made a comment or something like as a receiver, I'm sure there's probably a couple times that some of those guys had gotten frustrated, but I already mentioned it. Like I remember when I played with Jay Hurts, like especially as a freshman, you know, he was a young quarterback. He had a tendency to you know, not always have his eyes downfield and he would scramble, which he made a lot of plays like that. Hell, he led us to a national championship game and gave us the lead in the championship game. So, but did sometimes some of the receivers get a little frustrated? That's a natural thing, man. I mean, that's a very natural thing. That would be the only thing that I've ever come to know about, like anything close to what he's saying. Would be those two things. I'm keeping it 100 with you guys. I wouldn't lie. Like, so I'm close with Jalen. I'm with his family. I'm close with Ty. I mean, like, I don't have any like bias or anything. Is he holding a Zen case? What is that? Anyway, yeah. Only thing, like I said, 2023 when he lost the job. I mean, that week. But like I said, it was really just that week. And by the time the game came, I mean, I think he had a much better understanding of like, hey, this is my role. I got to embrace it. I just got to get back to work. And that's what he did. Won the job back, led the team to a SEC championship, led the team to a college football playoff appearance. You know, I mean, really was just a play away from going on to play in the national championship game, which they would have faced Coach DeBoer and his Washington team, which I would, you know, assume that we probably would have been matched up really well with them and probably could have won a national championship. That said, I didn't hear anybody really complain about anything like that, like other than maybe Bond. But selfish and stuff he's described like a roller coaster. I mean, I think why I'm bothered by it is because, again, you don't do that on public radio like that. Number one, like personal stuff. That's weird, especially guy from your fraternity. But at the same time, Greg also is the one that went at it and completely, you know, crossed the line with Shank and ended up having to, you know, apologize and stuff. I don't know. That's weird, man. I don't know. As a member of the B-Sci-Fi fraternity, man, it's disappointing. Honestly, disappointing. But yeah, then even like I said, last year, Coach DeBoer's first year, I didn't really hear anything, not even remotely close to. And I mean, Jalen was the like first guy in the building. Even Ty, everybody will vouch. I mean, talking about like 4 or 5 in the morning, man. Dude is up there just working, just trying to just do what he can to you know, be his best for the team. I mean, if people are talking about he's selfish for running the football, well, tell him to have a better running game where he doesn't have to be the running game. Like, that's just weird, man. Looked at Greg a little different at those comments about Shank a couple years ago. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say this is necessarily that far, but it kind of just seems personal, kind of like that, man. Yeah, Jalen was great. I mean, Jalen set plenty of records. He did a lot of good stuff. I think it gets overshadowed by, you know, some of the shortcomings his final year, some of the struggles he had in several games, which again, everybody has. But if you look at his career, man, I mean, the dude was very, I mean, he did a lot of great stuff, man. He really did. Very successful. Just wanted your thoughts. We can move on. Thank you for addressing. Yeah, of course, man. Well, no, I mean, I ain't have anything else really. I just was hanging out with you guys. If you had any final questions, I'm glad you brought that up, man. Hell, it's probably good we didn't do that on public radio because then it would have sounded like we got some damn personal beef or something. I have no beef with anybody, just to be clear. Even Greg, like I'm disappointed in hearing that. I don't rock with it. I'm not a fan of it, but to each his own. It's his show. I mean, free speech. He can talk about what he wants. I personally don't like that when it sounds like you're attacking people's character, especially a good guy. It's just weird. I don't know. I'm surprised not many. Am I just out of the loop? Did all of you other guys listen? Did you guys know about that? Or did I just miss that? I hadn't heard anything about that. I'm surprised nobody mentioned it until today. Let me see. Did I miss any other? I feel like we hit everything. Is there any other questions real quick? The backlog on that clearinghouse would be insane. Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't even know what the latest is with it. I have no idea what the latest is with it. Let's see. All right. Final call, man. Any questions, last minute questions before we get out of here? Spring ball, whatever. If not, I'm going to grab me some lunch, man. And kick back and grab some lunch. Ramon, that was your first time hearing it? Yeah, me too. That was my first time. Yeah, for anybody else too, if you guys ever have any I guess stuff like that come up that you're just curious about, or like clips, or always send it to us, or mention in the comments. I like getting stuff like that. Trying to think if there's anything I didn't hit via Twitter that I had from over the weekend. We hit on A-Day. I clarified that. We hit on those comments about Coach Saban. Yeah, I think that was pretty much it for today. Other than tomorrow, we got another practice, and we'll go from there. Well, all right, we ain't got any last-minute questions, man. I'm probably going to get out of here and let you guys get rolling, too. Appreciate that, man. We're working on the setup, man. It's coming along, man. We got some new lights. Gonna keep working on that backdrop. Keep improving things for you guys, man. What practice I'll go to? I'm not 100% sure. I was trying to wait till they got a little bit further along. I mean, I will for a fact go to the scrimmage. Like you guys got my word on that. First scrimmage I will go to. No doubt about it. But I might try to sneak up there to one of these practices before then. But a lot of it right now, man, it's just basic indie drill. I mean, yeah, could you just gotta go up there and see guys move and whatnot? Sure, but the problem is they practice like right up to my show. So my show starts at 11. So I would be able to go up there. They start around like 9:30. I could probably go up there for like 30, 40 minutes and then have to dash back and get ready to, do the show and all that. So at that point, all I would really be able to hang out and see would be the indie / early periods like that anyway. So it just didn't really seem like it was worth it too much. Next time, get some balloons. Remember seeing Greg say that back when it came out and was a little offset by it, kind of backed away from watching much. You're talking about to be fair, back in 2023 when that did happen, I mean, that's not a lie. I mean, Miller didn't initially handle it the best way. And I think he even commented on that. But I would never go as far as, docking the guy's character, calling him selfish. No, I just think he's a competitive guy. And, at first, when you hear the news like that, I mean, everybody's going to be kind of taken aback. It's normal. Set up a disco ball behind you, have it go off on the phone time. Y'all are getting creative. I don't know about a disco ball, but maybe we could set, I don't know. We could probably do something. I do want to get creative though. I mean, I got a bunch of NFL jerseys I want to hang up, but the problem is I'm normally on this kind of portrait layout. So you can't really see, you only really have enough room to see the helmets, my national championship ball, and hardly one of my jerseys. A couple of the White House pictures behind me. But I mean, if I went more of a like landscape, I could probably fit some more, cover that wall a little bit better. But I don't really work off of landscape too often, so I hadn't really done too much with that. But we'll see, man. I don't know about disco ball, but we'll work on something. Excuse me. We'll work on something. Oh, hold on. You talking about having it drop down, brother? I don't know about doing all that now. I mean, something like a digital something maybe, but you talking about like a whole thing drop down? Hell, I might need to hire one of you guys. I don't. That's beyond my pay grade, man. A little beyond my pay grade. It's that picture of Jare Edwards, man. I ain't go too in depth about him, but like just seeing how he's built, man. I talked about it a few weeks ago, but having somebody that has that skill set and that size is very rare, and it's definitely, highly sought after. Man, versatility for days. I mean, I think this dude could play safety, husky, dime. When you get into those sub packages, I mean, normally when you're in dime, you only got like one backer on the field. It's normally, excuse me, normally you got 4 down linemen, 1 backer in there, and like 6 DBs, right? I think he could easily, like that dime linebacker, he would be perfect for it. Because I mean, or even sometimes just coming down. I'll talk about it tomorrow, but we play a lot of cover 3. So I'm gonna get a little technical again for a second. Maybe I'll pull up a diagram, whatever. I can't speak, but cover 3, it's a single high safety defense. So that means other safeties dropping down. A lot of times, they have to be in the box for run support. So these bigger safeties, but that are athletic enough to cover, man, it's huge, especially for a defense like us playing a lot of cover 3. That's why you see Bray Hubbard down in the box a lot, because when you play cover 3, or even Keon Sabb, because they basically work on a rope, they're like slingshotting, depending on the strength and whatnot. But with him, man, I feel like you could play him at a number of positions. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, and this might be going way too far, but you saw how Mark Barron ended up growing into a little bit of a linebacker at one point. Carlos said he looks like a linebacker. I wouldn't be shocked, man. 6'2", 221 as a true freshman. I think he's fine for now, but you never know, man. I mean, it could be a point where, in a year or two, say he's almost pushing 230. I wouldn't even be opposed to working him a little bit at linebacker, at least in certain situations, but just having that versatility. But like I said, I'm impressed with the new freshman off the eye test, man. I mean, they check all the boxes. But I could see him being, I mean, you guys remember how Landon Collins played? I could see him being a little bit Landon Collins-esque, like Mark Barron, kind of a similar comparison. But I think he's going to be a good player. I haven't seen him in person just yet, but just going off of his high school tape, I think him and Griffin are going to be those two dudes on defense to definitely pay attention to, like the next wave of these young players. Stop, Barron was a beast. Hey, listen, no, I'm with you, but I'm saying like similar style. I'm not, when I say these names, I know some people go as far as say, oh, this guy's the next who. That's why I always say I pump the brakes when I say like the next. I'm not saying the next Mark Barron. I'm saying similar style, like being a bigger body guy, but still, very athletic. Sometimes these bigger guys are more stiff. They don't play well in space. Like it seems like there's always a trade-off, right? It's hard to, if you get a bigger body guy, he's not going to be as fluid as a smaller guy. He's going to be a little bit more stiff. He doesn't play as well in space. From what I've seen on his tape, again, I haven't seen him move in person, but I feel like he moves well for being a bigger guy. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, and normally when those are rare traits and rare combinations of things, and those guys tend to do well. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's going to be the next guy. I hate saying that. But those guys that possess rare combinations of size, speed, stuff like that, they tend to have a good chance. Like those are a lot of traits to work with, man. So, no, I know you're just messing, but no, trust me, I had to stop myself too, because if my dad was here, he'd tell me I'm chapsticking, man. He would get on me for sure. All right. 1:30, we'll call it for today. Tomorrow we'll be back. We'll discuss practice number 2, which will be wrapping up when we're on air. I don't know the media schedule. Last year they were doing it where they had media availability after practice, which would be perfect for us because we could listen to it almost live, or at least right when they upload it. I don't know. Maybe I need to get an intern. If we got anybody that's interested in being an intern, man, maybe I can send you guys up to the practice facility to cover for us, and you guys can help us stream it live. Not practice, but the interview stuff. I don't know their schedule. I don't know if they're going to be doing media. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. I haven't seen anything on the email, but I'll keep you guys posted. But regardless, we'll be talking about it all tomorrow. Then we got Clint Lamb at the top of the hour too, so we always enjoy. I know you guys enjoy it too, collabing with Clint. So we'll do that then. But if you guys haven't, man, hit that like button on the way out. All our new listeners on X, man, appreciate you guys. If you have a YouTube account or channel, go subscribe to ours. We really appreciate that. That just helps us out, helps support the channel, helps support everything we're doing here, helps us grow, help make the content better for you guys. And y'all have a great rest of y'all's day, and we'll see you